Australia's Commonwealth Games boss says the nation is in damage control, and Craig Phillips reckons it will take years to repair our sporting reputation after Victoria's giant backflip.
Pretty devastating for our movement, Simon. Look, from our point of view, came out of the blue. We're not expecting it at all. We had a commitment made to us and the CGF and, of course, our athletes and the communities that were hosting and all of that. So to have that news arrive last week with really no notice was pretty shocking.
I mean, who called you?
Yeah, so I took a call at about 8 o'clock that morning from a representative of the Victorian government.
But you're the Commonwealth Games Australian boss. Wouldn't you expect to have heard from the Premier himself, not a bureaucrat?
Would have been a nice courtesy, for sure.
To me, it looks like you were blindsided by Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews. Would that be a fair assumption?
I think it's a fair characterisation.
You had no hint it was on the card, that it was coming?
No, none at all. We know there's some budget pressures, but nothing like this.
Well, that's what Mr Andrews has maintained, that it would have been a budget blowout from that 2.6 to $7 or $8 billion.
Don't know, because we have not seen the numbers. No one's seen the numbers. We don't know what's in them. We don't know what the justification is.
You've had almost a couple of weeks to digest this development. Now that initial shock, once that initial shock has worn off, where are we at now?
Where we're at now, for us as an organisation, as the show goes on, we're hopeful, very hopeful, and remain hopeful that there will be a Games in 2026. That's our view right now and the way we're proceeding.
This isn't your first rodeo. You've been associated with the Australian Olympic Committee for, some 25 years. Yeah. You've dealt with governments and you've dealt with bureaucrats all that time. How would this experience rate with you, with all that experience that you've got?
In our world, Simon, we need to work closely with governments and we need to work closely with the bureaucrats that populate government agencies, but never ever experienced anything like this before. Never seen this level of what's the right word? I guess is that to be let down so badly without any notice at all is pretty appalling. And it's not just us either. It's the athletes. It's those communities that were going to host the games. It's the people that were going to come here as spectators. It's the families of the athletes. So there's a whole lot of people other than us that are disappointed by this decision.
How do you think this has damaged Australia's reputation on the international sporting stage?
I think it's done a significant amount of damage. I can't now for the life of me seeing any international sports federation wanting to commit to working with the Victorian government. It's a stigma that all Australians are now going to wear, so it's going to make it more difficult for any of our governments, any of our state governments, to attract major events here beyond the ones we have.
Could a decision of this nature and this disruption, I guess, to the whole process, could that mean that we lose medals in future Olympic Games?
I think it has a potential because when we're hosting in 32, and while it's up to the AOC whether medal targets are set and whether medal targets are important, but for athletes across a range of sports to perform on the world stage at the Olympics and Paralympics 32, they need a pathway.
I've read a lot in the past 10 days about this possibly spelling the end of the Commonwealth Games as we know them today. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't believe that to be true. I think the Games will go on in some form. Don't know what that form will be. The Commonwealth Games is loved by Australians. It's loved by people around the Commonwealth. It's an important forum for the Commonwealth. There's a bit more to the Commonwealth Games than some people sometimes think.